Of all the movie tropes in the 90s, and there were many, perhaps my favorite was that weird era of meta movies about making movies, or movies about making TV shows, or whatever. You know, there's quite a few of these, but to name a few, Living in Oblivion, Bowfinger, Ed Wood, Ed TV, Ed. Oh shit, wrong 90s movie trope. Stay tuned for that one. But you know, these things happen. Clusters of similar films popping up at the same time. I mean, it still happens. And it seems when it does, the most popular of the bunch seems to stand out in our collective minds while the others just kind of get forgotten. Which brings me to today's subject. A film that is perhaps the most original take on the meta filmmaking genre of the 90s. Hear me out. 1998's Krippendorf's Tribes stars Richard Dreyfuss as Professor James Krippendorf, who was part of a groundbreaking anthropology team with his wife before her passing, and now is struggling to keep his life and family afloat after her death. But when the hens come home to roost, he is forced to produce the fruits from his squandered grant money. So he decides to fake into life the Shell-Mickadmoot tribe, consisting of himself and his children, all in a wacky attempt to fool the university into thinking that this documentary they made in their backyard is the real deal. And as wacky as it sounds, it remains pretty down to earth the entire time. Sorta. Aside from Dreyfuss, which let's face it, the guy can do anything, we also have a lively performance from Jenna Elfman, as well as Lily Tomlin, Stephen Root, and a young Natasha Lyonne. We all love you, Natasha. Oh, and legendary character actor Siobhan Fallon Hogan gets quite a hilarious little arc in this film.
You mean the male in question did not run off and find another female to immediately oppress?
No, that's not the way they operate.
I am on the phone. Please! You are driving me effing crazy!
It's strange. This was put out by Touchstone Pictures, who is basically just Disney in disguise. Along with Hollywood Pictures, they were formed for Disney to produce their more adult-leaning comedies and such, and, Pauly Shore movies. But for being under the Disney banner, there's some pretty risque jokes here. I mean, this movie taught me what a dildo was.
And it is, in fact, a marital device. It is. It's a Neolithic dildo.
The film was based on the book of the same name from sociologist Frank Parkin, and was directed by Todd Holland, who also, directed The Wizard and some standout TV shows, and still at it to this day. And when looking at his film resume, this one seems to be a very odd standout. The film plays out like kind of a mix of Ed Wood and Miss Doubtfire. In fact, the film was originally planned as a vehicle for Robin Williams, which, in my opinion, would have definitely livened up this movie a bit. Once they managed to get the fake documentary filmed and screened, Krippendorf thinks he's out of the woods, when in fact he gets sucked into producing even more fake documentaries of the non-existent tribe, which raises the stakes, so to speak. Oh yeah, by the way, Mila Kunis has her first role in this, a memorable one.
I shall now douse her with the sacred figure.
Once things get going, though, they kind of slow down a bit again, and the entire third act is based around this weird public meeting that requires hasty costume changes and wacky mix-ups, kind of like Miss Doubtfire, and we kind of have to super suspend our disbelief a bit more towards the end there. But overall, the film works as the social commentary it tries to be, as Jenna Elfman's character strives to exploit the made-up tribe that Krippendorf himself is already exploiting, only to both get exploited themselves. And to be honest, there are some hilarious moments in this flick.
Tuesday, as usual?
Kiss my Neolithic ass!
A proud woman. I try to be sensitive to her feelings. You forgot your goat, Miss Michelli?
Now, as much as I enjoy it and get its greatness, it was not well received upon release. Krippendorf's Tribe opened at number 7 in its opening weekend with a mere $3 million. It received largely negative reviews, although Roger Ebert had this to say: Is it possible to recommend a whole comedy on the basis of one scene that made you laugh almost uncontrollably? I fear not. And yet Krippendorf's Tribe has such a scene, and many comedies have none. And hell, that's not a bad review from him, all things considered. Although he also did say this.
I laughed, but not enough to recommend the film, and I was kind of surprised, frankly, to see everybody in blackface. That was a little strange.
Which, yeah, they waste no time going blackface here, and, even for the era, this was a little But, the entire movie is a lampoon on this shit, so it kind of works. We're not really supposed to sympathize much with these peoples. They prove to be pretty rotten overall. In fact, Natasha Lyonne's character is the one I found any relation to.
Excellent work. Very, very good.
Now what?
Now, cook the chicken.
I just chased poultry through my backyard looking like Tammy Faye Baker. You owe me.
Dreyfuss stated as recently as 2018 via Twitter that he and Elfman had a great time on set. Not a very good movie, but that they had a great time, so at least he still acknowledges this. Everyone seems to be having a blast here, and the movie means no harm. With Robin Williams' presence, I'm sure it would be more fondly remembered, but, Dreyfuss held it down. And with the other similar films of the time bombarding us, I have to hand it to Krippendorf's Tribe, as it is among the best 90s movies about making movies about fictional New Guinea tribes of all time. I highly recommend this film to anybody in blackface. Be sure to subscribe.
You